And we're back with Harlem Sculpture Gardens, and now we have in the studio with us Carol Diamond and Ben LaRocca, and they are working collaboratively together on an installation they call Playdate that will be in Morningside Park. But first, we wish to just say thank you for coming to the studio, and then tell us first a little bit about your individual artistic practice.
Thank you, Savona. It's really great to be here. I know I and Ben are really excited about the project. I've been making sculpture for about 7 years now and increasingly more ambitious. I draw a lot, and I'm trained as a painter and a drawer. But during COVID, and the process of my work was such that a lot of three-dimensional elements were coming off the canvas, off of the wood panels. Then there was cement patching material, and I was collecting things in the corner that were too big to go on a two-dimensional surface. So they started as small assemblage sculptures, really looking at these found materials as little characters and so much of a story behind the found materials. So we kind of let them be themselves for a while. But a lot of drawing and painting issues just kept coming up in the sculpture, movement and rhythms, and I think the found materials got more and more transformed into just sculpture materials. But I'd like that aspect that the color is found, glass and metal from the street, the metal, wire, cables. I go to Blick once in a while for some art materials, but mostly the hardware store, for epoxy and different binding agents. So the project here, I've been testing some works outside over the years now, and there's a very ecological aspect of it, so things deteriorate and then come back to life. If a sculpture breaks, it just becomes another piece. I know Ben is into this assemblage aspect as well, and kind of the rebirth and decay of the materials. So I'm excited. They're all metal and different things that I find, but really kind of formed into these. I have these two pieces, and they're going to go on tree stumps.
Right.
So it's like.
But before we get into that
yes.
detail, let's bring in Ben so he could tell us a little bit about his artistic background.
Yeah, thank you, Savona. I'm a bricolaire. I call myself a bricolaire. Bricolage comes from a French term, and it's all about using whatever falls to hand to assemble your sculptures. So Carol and I have that in common. So I use a lot of, I have a background in construction, and whenever you're involved in construction, there's a lot of waste, and I was always watching all that material go into waste and wanting to grab it and use it. And so that happened. I'd collect things. A lot of the stuff I use in my sculpture comes from my domestic life. A lot of things that are cast off around the house seem to find their way into my sculpture. And to me, that's a natural way of working. It's reassuring, too, because I feel like there's a little less waste that I'm producing than I ordinarily would be. So there's an ecological side to it, a way of living for me as well.
Wow, I've learned a lot just hearing the two of you about your backgrounds. So now, why don't you talk about this collaborative piece that you're working on, Playdate?
Thank you.
I like that title.
Yeah, well, we're both parents at different levels, and we've gone at different ages of our children. Mine's 21 now, so her play dates are very different. But, that feeling of the park, and I had taken some nice long walks specifically to look for good installation spots, and that playground, and just, coming together to work on a piece. We have separate pieces we're using, and we've discussed all this back and forth, but if we can make a collaboration, we will do that and just see how the two aesthetics go together. They're going to go together anyway because of the installation in the park. I've loved Ben's work. It's very free. I feel like I use twisted metal because I have a twisted up feeling about life, and kind of everything is very intense in a way, and I've loved the freedom. Your work is very intense too, but some of the freedom and the playfulness and the ruggedness of the outdoor work that I've seen of Ben's really, made me want to bring him in on the date here and see how they work together.
I think there's a natural, when you work the way we do with found objects, I think there's a natural sharedness to it. because you can sort of take one thing, add it to the sculpture, take something off, hand it to another person. It's kind of a natural back and forth that Carol's work and mine share.
Oh, that's really interesting. I like that. So that's how you came up with the term Playdate?
The park, I think the association with people viewing our work, not in a gallery, not in a studio visit, but in the park, so that aspect of people playing, having picnics, and
Yes.
and we're kind of playing too in our works. When you leave a gallery and your work is hung, you always think, or a group show, you think of the work is all kind of talking to each other after the artists leave. So I thought about, overnight and through the weather that our works are going to be hanging out together,
Okay. That's a really nice thought. Really, very nice. So is this your first time presenting public art?
Not for you. Not for me either. Well, the public art I did was outdoors, but it was a gallery setting.
Okay.
But out on a patio.
Okay.
So I haven't done anything, and which is very exciting part of
Okay.
it too. Working with the city and having it be public.
Yes,
How about you?
I've presented work in outdoor settings publicly on a number of occasions. This might be one of the most public. I'm excited about that because one of the tricks in working the way that we work is that some of the material is naturally degradable over time. So you have to find ways to work with that to make sure it'll last the necessary amount of time and to kind of work with the elements. So that's a very exciting part of having sculpture displayed in Harlem for so long.
What's also interesting for me, since you're saying that the work may degrade, it's also about a blending, to me, of the work into the natural environment. And so I find that now very
Yes.
intriguing because you're talking about people who moved into a community that they were not originally from, and then they kind of immersed themselves in that environment and created a whole new scene. So that's basically what you're telling me.
Yeah, that's great. That's
I love
really,
that idea.
yeah.
I started out as a landscape painter too, so what you're saying makes perfect sense to me.
We've
All
all
right.
evolved and moved and come through different parts of New York, and the neighborhood is
It's a relationship
Exactly
with a
what you said.
place.
I like that relationship with a place because sometimes, the public will ask, I don't understand this. But then I feel that if we explain it to them, they'll get it easily. It's not meant to be perfect. It's
Right.
meant for you to question, to ponder. And so I think this
sure.
would be very good. So we're just about ready to wrap up soon, but I just wanted to say thank you both for coming down to the studio, spending some time with us, talking about your work. And we look forward to seeing Playdate this spring
Thank you,
in
Savannah.
Morningside Park.
fabulous.
Thank you
And it
very
wouldn't be
much.
happening if it wasn't for you, Savona.
Oh.
So we're excited to be working with you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.